Welcome to the Business Plus Accounting video training series. In this episode, we'll take a look at the payroll module and look at the functionality of running your payroll. Payroll is an optional add-on module that's available to users of Business Plus Accounting. If you do not have a license to use payroll, you can purchase one by contacting Business Software Solutions. In addition, every year the payroll tax tables are updated in accordance with changes to the tax laws, and those updated payroll tax tables need to be purchased every year from Business Software Solutions. The payroll module is accessible by selecting the payroll button from the main menu. In the payroll module, you have the ability to set up and define how your payroll is going to operate, as well as run payroll for salaried and hourly employees. We'll go ahead and take a look at the process, beginning with the first step, which is to enter your payroll parameters. The payroll parameters actually consist of the payroll information relevant to each employee. This includes Social Security number, their tax filing status. Much of this information can also be defined in the employee definition screen. Their exemptions, their pay period. The government has defined certain standard pay periods that you can enter here, from bi-weekly to annually, and you'll specify the appropriate value there. You can specify their taxing state, taxing city, as well as some of the other options, including medical insurance that will be withheld from their payroll checks, long-term disability insurance, retirement. If you're withholding a portion for retirement purposes, you can put that in there, and then whether or not that retirement amount is subject to tax or if it's a non-taxable, you can enter a yes or a no there. If you want to withhold money for a cafeteria plan, you can withhold either a flat amount by entering cafeteria by pay period here, or you can enter a percentage to withhold of their total payroll for each month or for each payroll check. If they want to have extra tax withheld, you can specify that amount here. If they're subject to garnishment, you can specify that. For earned income, if they qualify for earned income, this would be the earned income filing that they are under, single, married, or both. You'll have to see the earned income documentation to determine the appropriate values there. Software allows you to define 3 miscellaneous deductions that can also be withheld from each paycheck. The next step is to define the payroll general ledger accounts. This is similar to the interface table for the standard general ledger, however it's only for the accounts that are relevant to payroll. These include your federal and state income tax withholding accounts, Social Security accounts, and each of those accounts. The software has a default value for each of those accounts that's included in the standard general ledger. If you've made changes to that general ledger structure, you may need to change these values. If any of the values in your payroll GL table account are not correct, then when you enter the payroll module, the software will warn you that you have invalid values in your payroll table. The next step would be, as you're ready to run each specific payroll, you would enter either the hourly or the salary or both. When you select Enter Payroll Hourly, the first option is to pull hours from the time clock directly into payroll. The software includes a system time clock that's accessible from System Tools and Time Clock, where your employees can log in and log out. You can edit their logins and logouts, and a report can be printed. But in the payroll module, when you select Enter Payroll Hourly, you also have the option of pulling those hours directly into the payroll, which can make things a little bit easier if you're using that payroll to track your logins and logouts. In the payroll hourly, you'll see all of the employees that you have defined that have an hourly rate. And you'll see that they actually have several rates. They have a regular rate, and then this is the default rate that you've entered for them. And then they have a rate for their regular hours, an overtime rate, and an other rate, as well as a number of hours that can be input for any of those. In the payroll module, you can enter whatever rates you would like to enter into any of these fields. The software will only default the first value to the standard rate that you've defined. If the overtime rate is time and a half, then you'd put that in there if there are any overtime hours to be paid. Then you would enter the number of hours that you're paying for each employee, including the number of overtime hours if that's applicable, or the number of other hours. The software also allows you to pay a bonus or a commission, which can be entered here, and then the software allows you to keep track of your sick hours, and the rate that your employees will be paid for their sick hours as well as vacation hours. And finally, if you've given the employee a pay advance and you'd like to withhold some of that pay advance from his check, then you can enter that amount here. Again, that would reflect money that he has already received that needs to be coded against this particular paycheck. When you enter your salaried employees, it's basically the same function, except for that instead of the hourly rates and the number of hours, you'll see their default salary, which would be per pay period, and the salary that you're paying this pay period. And again, you can override that and put in whatever value you would like to put in. Or you can change the bonuses and the commissions, sick hours, etc. All that information can be changed. Once you've entered the hours, the next step is to run the payroll cash requirements. When you enter the payroll cash requirements report, you'll be required to enter the time period for your payroll that you're running. And the payroll cash requirements report will show you for each employee the total amount of the payroll that they're to receive at this point in time, as well as the taxes, deductions, and the resulting net pay. You'll also see their hours, overtime, etc. On the report. This report can then be filed or can be reviewed to see what your total cost is going to be for the current payroll. Here's the total hours and the total number of dollars that this payroll will cost. Once you've run the payroll cash requirement report, the next step is to print your payroll checks. When printing checks, you'll be reminded first that you need the cash requirements report. If you have it and you're ready, then you can continue with the printing of the checks. Again, you'll have the opportunity to confirm or change the date range for the checks and key in the beginning payroll check number as well as the payroll check date. These checks will be printed to your current default Windows printer. If there's a problem with any of your payroll checks, you can reprint checks by selecting the reprint option. This will reprint all of the payroll checks for the current payroll entries that have not been posted. And then the final step, once everything is correct, would be to post your payroll. The software again will want to make sure that you have checks and that your checks are okay before you post the payroll. Then we'll offer to print the payroll posting report. The payroll posting report will show you for each employee, again, the amounts that they're receiving as well as their tax that has been withheld and some of their other withholdings. And then at the bottom you'll see a summary of the amount that's been posted to each of the payroll accounts for that payroll. Once a payroll has been posted, if there's a problem with any of the checks, you can reverse a particular check and then you can rerun the payroll for that employee. When you do a payroll reversal, again, you get a payroll reversal posting, which looks similar to the standard posting report showing you the amount that's been posted to each account.